Hello and welcome to OXO CoffeeBreak episode, which is a podcast series of O3 Partners Group. My name is HK No, an investment manager at O3 Partners Group, which is a venture capital and private equity group headquartered in the Netherlands with Central and Eastern European roots and pan-European focus. Today, we're having a special episode on our company and on our recently launched crowdfunding campaign with our founder and managing partner, Péter Oszkó. Hello.
Hi,
Péter.
HK.
Yeah, so could you kindly introduce yourself and how you started our company?
Yeah, with pleasure. I'm Péter Oszkó. I'm the managing partner and the founder of O3 Group. This group started its activity around 15 years ago when I started to be active in this industry. Initially, I started my career in the advisory businesses. I've started my work with KPMG and then with Deloitte. Later, I was managing partner of Deloitte in Hungary and the former Yugoslav countries' advisory businesses. Then, between 2009 and 2010, I took a kind of adventure of being the technocrat finance minister of Hungary during the global financial crisis. That was a definite one-year period and a very serious crisis management exercise. And after that, I decided to somewhat change my career, start a new type of activity. I spent 4 years with OTP and learned the whole venture capital and private equity type of businesses. And then in 2014, I decided to become independent, a kind of entrepreneur, because I think even venture capitalists and investors are also entrepreneurs. They are building up their own type of business in the investment industry. So I started my group in 2014, first with a smaller angel fund and angel investment activities with other angel investors for Hungary. In that period, we had a quite successful smaller angel fund with early stage investments, which we closed after 5 years at 4x multiples. And then I had even larger ambitions to create a larger group listed on the stock exchange and being more active with the later stage and then currently with GP stakes type of investments as well. So that's who I am. And then I'm happy to talk about our group and the strategies and plans.
Yeah. Then could you tell us a bit more about the current status of the company and the strategies, and what do you mean by listed GP stakes investor model?
Yeah, it's easier to explain that if we are just looking at our history. How we have started. As I explained, we started with early stage type of investments, and between 2015 and 2020, that was a good period for that. There was growth, there was enough liquidity. It wasn't that difficult to invest at early stage and then do even exits after 5 years. So that was still a very good period. This is how we could do very good returns and make our investors happy. After that, between 2020 and 2022, that was still a pretty good period for tech companies, but the future was more and more uncertain. So during COVID, a lot of funding came to the industry.
Yes.
But there was more a kind of bubble creation period. And at that time already we started, besides early stage investments, we started already secondary type of investments. So we thought that it's better to focus on a shorter term period, just taking over other portfolio companies and somehow benefit of a shorter liquidity type of investments as well. And then we were quite successful with that. I just mentioned how much return we could make on early stage, but I think on secondaries we made even better returns in that period.
But just to clarify, can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean by secondary transaction?
The secondary transaction means when you buy out the portfolio or the investment company of another investor. Because it happens that other investors need to exit, they have to close their funds. It was quite typical in 2020 because there was a regulated investment period from Jeremy programs and other EU co-funded programs which started in 2010, and in 2020 many funds had to close their activity and sell the companies. So there was a good opportunity to buy out many promising portfolio companies at good valuation. So we were even more active with the secondary type of investments in between 2020 and 2022. And at the same time, we have already had a listed entity. So after the first angel fund, we decided to attract more investors with a special structure that we listed an investment holding company, and we always get proper funding for the new type of acquisition. So we found a good portfolio, good investment targets. We convinced the shareholders to invest the next round of funding, and we could do the acquisitions. And in 2022, we realized that the market is significantly changing. Higher inflation, lower growth, much less funding, much more difficult environment overall for the private equity and VC type of investments. And if something is difficult globally, it's even more difficult in Central and Eastern Europe. That's quite typical. Which means that at that time, those who had the opportunity to get proper funding could really have good acquisition opportunities. And not only for existing investment targets or for portfolio companies, but we realized that that's the time we need to start consolidating the market. And we can have a much better balanced portfolio with investing into so-called GPs and funds, and not only into specific investment targets. GPs are the fund managers and investment advisors of venture capital and private equity funds. So they are managing the funds, they are managing the funding accumulated in the funds. And then if the market becomes difficult, then GPs are also interested to get funding, to somehow become part of a larger group, to increase the efficiency and to increase somehow the volume of asset managed. And that's what we realized, that it's when we started the secondary type of business activity, we just started to talk with competitors, not only with the investment targets, but we started to talk with other fund managers as well. And then we came to the conclusion that it makes sense to get some stakes in the fund managers and somehow consolidate the market and having a larger group. Because, I mean, from Central Eastern Europe, it was always very difficult to compete with the large global players.
Yes, that's true.
Managing a fund of, 40, 50 million, even with 100 million size, it means that you finance the early stage phase of the startup and scale up companies. And then when it becomes successful, then the global players come and then they do the later runs and then they take the profit. In order to be able to compete, we need to create larger groups which are able to participate in later stages as well, and then get the benefit of those type of investments. So that's what we have started actually in 2024. That's the time when we somehow changed those strategy, and we said that we are not focusing on direct investments anymore, but we are focusing on market consolidation, investing into GPs and managed funds, and we create a family of funds working together, managing the investment activity together, and being much more efficient. The essence of that model is that we are continuously cash positive. Normally, if you invest in a private equity or VC type of business, you collect some funding, you have your fund, you invest into companies, and you just finance your operation from the equity, and hopefully you will have a good portfolio and you will realize profit at the end. But that's not a liquid type of investment. Your risk is whether you have good exits at the end. In the GP stake type of businesses, what happens that we are realizing the management fee type of cash flow and revenue from the business as well. So we have an investment holding with GP stakes and proportional management fee participation in the GPs. We have continuously positive cash flow, so we can continuously provide return on investment to the investors. And at the same time, we have participation in the funds, and we have an interest in the performance of the funds. So our cash flow is continuously positive, but we have the upside if the funds and the investment companies are performing well. So that's a more balanced way of investing into private equity and VC type of industry, with the upside of the industry, but with a much more balanced and less risky type of operation.
I see. Thank you. Yeah, that was a very comprehensive explanation. So it's already been going on that our group has invested into GPs,
Yep.
right? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, we had a lot of discussions starting from 2022-23, but the first successful negotiation started in 2024. That was the time when we started a negotiation with 3TS Capital Partners and the whole partnership and some other investment advisors that were part of the group. That was a long discussion, but it was quite obvious that the acquisition was beneficial for both parties. We took a strategic minority stake in 3TS Capital Partners. We hold now 24% stake, and we help the operations with a lot of fund operations and IT and other type of services.
I see.
Which makes them also a bit more efficient. We help to build a pipeline and identify in the investment targets in various countries. But if we just look at the numbers, we are listed entities, so all numbers are public. We spent around 3 million euro on that acquisition. This acquisition was closed in 2025, and if we just look at all numbers, the profit for 2025 was 3.5 million euro. It doesn't mean that it came from that acquisition, so it's not that quick to have a return on investment, but it shows that the model that we just implemented, this whole strategy works. Our profitability also increased quite quickly. There are two reasons. Of course, one is that we have an increasing management fee type of investment, an increasing management fee type of revenue, which creates a positive cash flow. And as under current market circumstances, those acquisitions can be made at a pretty good valuation. Then we also have a revaluation type of revenue as well. So we realize a quick positive revaluation on a good acquisitions at attractive valuations. And that's what we continue this year as well. We have also continued the acquisitions. Catalyst Advisory was previously part of 3TS Group, but now it's directly held by all three partners. So we have a 30% stake in Catalyst Advisory. And we have our own previous business. We have an incubator company where we have 100% stake. And we are just launching a secondary fund separately from the holding, because initially we did the secondary investments directly from the holding, but we decided that this will be now allocated to a separate fund with a separate fund manager. That was a pretty successful activity already in the past, so we would like to keep that, but organized in a proper way in this GP stake investment model. And that's what you can see from the numbers. Last year we have already paid dividend. The dividend return was around 12%. The stock price increased by 38%. So it's a total shareholder return which is over 50% for 1 year, which is a very attractive return. I don't want to say that it will be the same every year, because the larger part of the stock was the stock price increase. Shareholders really appreciated the change of that strategy and really understood why this is attractive to perform a GP stake investor strategy. But our stock price is also pretty well valuated now, so there was an increase this year as well already. We decided not to pay dividend this year because we have a lot of new acquisition targets and a lot of new opportunities to establish new funds. But still, as I mentioned, the profit was more than 3 million. Last year it was 3.5 million, which is more than €1 per shares if we just calculate with the number of shares.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. Then there's a lot been going on within the group. Then can you tell us then what is the purpose of and the goal of the crowdfunding campaign that our group recently launched, and what's the status?
There is a double target with this crowdfunding campaign. One is pretty obvious. We see very good new acquisition targets and new opportunities to establish new funds, and it requires funding. There is a certain level of funding because of our profitable operations. So we had a profit from last year, but we see much more opportunities. So that's a buyer market now. So everyone who has proper funding to buy GP stakes and establish new funds can have a very good return on investment. So this is why we think that that's the time to get some further funding besides of existing profit reserve. The other thing is that why we decided to do a crowdfunding is that all our numbers are pretty attractive. Revenue increase, profitability, the growth of the whole group. We have one issue that we would like to solve, that we are a listed company, but the volume of the daily trading, the liquidity of the share is still limited. And the reason of that is that so far we could manage all funding from closed rounds. We are listed, but we always did closed equity rounds with selected number of larger investors, institutional investors, and larger family offices or high net worth individuals. They are more strategic investors, so they invest into the company, they buy the shares, but they are not continuously trading. So there is no real daily liquidity on the stock exchange. And this is why our main target now is to increase the number of shareholders and to have as many retail investors as possible. We will do an IPO in the second half of the year. We will enter the standard market of this Budapest Stock Exchange, because currently we are on the external market yet. So that will also be an occasion to attract retail investors. But we wanted to do the IPO already with a certain number of retail investors and with a proper liquidity in the daily trading. So this is why we decided that we do something in between a closed equity round and the IPO. That's the crowdfunding now, where a larger number of small shareholders, retail type of investors can join and participate in our story.
I see. Thank you. And what's the current progress so far on the crowdfunding campaign? Yeah,
the crowdfunding officially went public last Monday, and then we are over already €1 million. So there was fortunately there was a good progress already at the beginning of the campaign. So there are a lot of interest, already a lot of pre-commitments or commitments in the round. So we just went over €1 million 2 days ago. And of course, we are happy to have as many further investors as possible.
Yeah, that's exciting. Then now that we know about the goal and the purpose of crowdfunding, then what's the long-term next chapter for O3 Partners?
Yeah, our market cap is currently around €30 million. And with €30 million, we are managing €300 million assets. So that's somehow the proportion of having funding in the holding can get an access to 10 times more managed assets. So if we increase our market cap to 40 or 50 million, it means that we increase the managed asset to that extent as well.
I see.
And in order to become competitive in the European market, not only in Central Eastern Europe, we think that we should at least double the market cap, which means that currently we are doing that crowdfunding up to €5 million, but we are already happy with something between €2 and €3 million, because as I said, now it's not the level of the funding, but the number of shareholders, which is the most important thing. Then we do the standard market IPO in the second half of the year, where we plan to involve more institutional investors and larger ticket investors as well. So that run will be a bit higher with proper acquisition targets. If we increase our market cap to something like between 40 and 50 million at that time, then it helps us to execute even more acquisitions and increase the level of managed assets. And then I hope that by the end of the year or during the next year, the level of managed assets will be something between 500 or 600 million euro. So we'd like to double, actually.
Wow. Yeah.
And then the next target is the European market, actually. So we start the consolidation type of activity in Central Eastern Europe, but we think that the whole Europe is exciting for us. We are already a Dutch registered, Dutch headquartered company.
Yes.
And then we are active on those markets as well. So besides Central Eastern Europe, all groups and all funds are active in the DACH region as well, in Austria, Germany, Switzerland. We are quite active in the Benelux countries, and we are active in the Nordic countries as well.
Yes.
And then the next target is do a cross-listing, actually. So besides the Budapest Stock Exchange, we target the Euronext Amsterdam. That's where private equity groups are pretty active anyway. And we think that besides identifying attractive GP stake investment targets in those regions, we will start the same activity in the Western countries as well.
Oh, I see. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was very insightful. So thank you so much, Péter, for...
Thank you for your questions. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And thank you for watching or listening to this episode. So if it was interesting for you, please subscribe to our channel and join our crowdfunding campaign through Seedlink. Thank you.